corn, one of the corn polenta porridge, one of the problems is, and this is particularly a problem if someone has a yeast presence in their body, is as the corn dries, the silk, the silk around the corn, if it's drying on the plant, you'll see it goes black. What's the black? It's mould. And Dr. Robert Young, in his book, he says that dried polenta is often tainted with some mould. So we sort of keep away a bit from the maize, the dried corn.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Barbara O'Neill, and today I'm going to reveal deadly foods that you must avoid. Many of us may not realise that some common foods can pose serious health risks, especially as we age. Certain items in our diets can contribute to chronic diseases, inflammation, and even life-threatening conditions. In this video, we'll uncover the specific foods you should be cautious about, the science behind their dangers, and practical tips on how to make healthier choices. Stay tuned to learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones from these hidden threats in your diet.
Spelt and kamut are wild hybrids of the original wheat. So let me give you the wheat story. The original wheat that God made is called Enkenhorn, or some call it just Enkhorn. And that original wheat had a very fragile protein or gluten structure. It is not sure when, but they estimate a couple of 1,000 years ago, Enkenhorn did a wild hybrid with a field grass and came up with the Emma strain of wheat. Its structure, its protein or gluten structure is not as fragile, but it's still fairly fragile. And in the 1950s, it was the Emma strain of wheat that was put through intensive crossbreeding, and it came up with the hybridized wheat that we know today. That hybridization of the wheat created an incredibly complex gluten or protein structure. Yesterday we looked at the starch that was changed, but today we're looking at how the hybridization process changed the gluten or the protein structure. And it's almost only a cast iron gut that can break down that very complex protein or gluten structure. That explains why so many people are gluten intolerant today. You look at the timeline. So it was the 1950s that the wheat was hybridized. It was the 1970s that it went worldwide. So by the 1990s, every pasta, every pizza, every biscuit, cake, cookie, donut, cereal, bread, it's all made out of the hybridized wheat. You see, the farmers love it, and I don't blame them for loving it because they get 6 times more grain per acre. Who wouldn't like that? They've got to pay their bills. But as I mentioned yesterday, it was zoomed through to help with the starvation crisis in the world, and safety studies were never done. This explains the gluten intolerance that we see today. The 2 most common symptoms of a gluten intolerance is brain fog and bloating. I meet so many people that have brain fog and bloating, and they almost think it's normal, or it can be blamed on age. Poor old age gets blamed for so many things. Isn't that true? Now this Emma wheat, it also did a wild hybrid to come up with a field grass and came up with the spelt. So the spelt, it has retained the fairly fragile structure, and if that spelt meal is made into a sourdough bread, the culturing process in the sourdough bread breaks down that protein or gluten structure even more so that it now has the original structure of the Enkenhorn. If someone is celiac, they cannot have even the spelt. But if someone's gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive, they can usually handle the spelt, especially if it's made into a sourdough bread. One lady said, "I don't like sourdough spelt bread." I said, "Well, you haven't tasted a good one. Please taste a few. Some are really good. So you have to investigate.
We should avoid hybridized wheat like spelt and modern wheat because they contain a gluten structure that our bodies struggle to process. The hybridization has made it harder for our digestive systems to break down these complex proteins, leading to issues like bloating, brain fog, and other digestive problems. Even if you don't think you're gluten intolerant, these modern wheat products can still cause inflammation over time, which might not show up right away, but can lead to chronic health issues later in life. Eating these kinds of wheat regularly can also make us more prone to weight gain, as they spike blood sugar levels quickly. This creates a cycle of cravings and energy crashes, making it harder to maintain a balanced diet. For some people, cutting out modern wheat can lead to increased energy, clearer thinking, and even weight loss. If you're someone who struggles with digestive issues, skin problems, or low energy, taking a break from hybridized wheat could be worth a try. There are plenty of alternative grains, like ancient wheats or gluten-free options that don't come with the same risks.
If someone has a yeast presence in their body and they're eating a lot of fruit, the sugar in the fruit will feed the yeast. And as the yeast feeds on the sugars in the fruit, it gives off acetic acid. It gives off lactic acid. It gives off uric acid. So it basically is feathering its nest. So when a person has a yeast presence and they're eating a lot of fruit, can you see that they are feeding the problem? And they're creating the environment of 5.5 where yeast loves to live. And alcohol is also given off. Alcohol breaks down in the body to acetaldehyde. And acetaldehyde is a neurotoxin. We don't want a neurotoxin. A neurotoxin is a brain killer. There are 5 places you can be exposed to acetaldehyde. Yes, if someone consumes alcohol. Yes, if someone has a yeast problem and they're having a lot of fruit, it will break down to this. Cigarette smoke, car fumes give off acetaldehyde. And the last one is vinegar. We don't use vinegar here, we use lemon. Lemon is far superior.
We should avoid vinegar because it leads to the production of acetaldehyde in the body. Acetaldehyde is a neurotoxin, which means it's harmful to the brain. Over time, exposure to this toxin can lead to problems like brain fog, trouble focusing, and even long-term cognitive issues. Whether it's from consuming alcohol, dealing with a yeast issue, or using vinegar, these sources can all break down into acetaldehyde. Vinegar is also acidic and can disrupt the body's pH balance. Keeping a proper pH is important because when the body becomes too acidic, it can cause inflammation, weaken the immune system, and encourage the growth of harmful microbes like yeast. Avoiding vinegar and using alternatives like lemon can help support a healthier internal environment. Lemon is a much better option because, unlike vinegar, it doesn't cause the same harmful reactions in the body. It's alkalizing, helps with digestion, and is rich in vitamin C, which boosts the immune system. So swapping vinegar for lemon is a simple way to protect your brain, keep yeast at bay, and promote better overall health.
Let's have a look at acid-forming foods now. These acid-forming foods are high in the acid-forming minerals, which is phosphorus, sulfur, and chlorine. So what foods are high in phosphorus, sulfur, and chlorine? Meat. This explains why Dr. Colin Campbell found he could turn cancer cells on and off like a switch by the amount of meat and dairy products he was giving the rats. Refined sugar, it's very acid forming. The hybridized wheat, the hybridization of the wheat created a lot more of the acid forming minerals. Aged cheese. What's the blue in the blue vein cheese? The blue in the blue vein cheese is mould. So the only cheeses that don't sit under that category, the cheeses that have probably a pH of 7 would be your fresh. So that's your cottage, your ricotta. I'm not saying that they are okay, because usually they come from cows who have not been fed right or have chemicals in them. But on the pH scale, they're not as acid. Caffeine, all your caffeine foods and drinks have an acid effect. And of course, caffeine usually comes hand in hand with the sugar, which certainly ups it. And remember our 2.6 Coca-Cola, that's a combination of the caffeine and the sugar. Did you know that Coca-Cola is called Coca-Cola? Because I think it was in the early part of the 20th century, they put cocaine in it. And then they went over to caffeine, which is just as dangerous. Alcohol is not a food, but it creates an acid environment in the body. Tobacco is not a food, but it also creates an acid environment in the body. All your other grains, other than the grains that sit on the alkaline side, all your other legumes, other than the lima, lentil and soy, and all your other nuts, other than the almond and Brazil, have an acid effect. To maintain the 6.5 environment, we need to be consuming 20% acid-forming foods and 80%, 70 to 80% alkaline-forming foods. And I'm sure you're not surprised to hear me say that the 20% should come from this section here. Yes, oatmeal is here. Yes, rice is here. They're not bad grains. We need a little acid. Yes, your chickpeas are here, and your garbanzos, your chickpeas, your black-eyed beans, your kidney beans. They're not bad. Of course they're not bad. We need a little acid. It's when the whole meal is acid that tips the scales. How many Americans would be eating 90% acid, 10% alkaline? Is that true? No wonder cancer and heart disease are neck to neck for the #1 killers in the world today. Far more people die from alcohol-related diseases. Far more people die from tobacco-related diseases. And yet they're not banning tobacco or alcohol, are they?
This balance between acid-forming and alkaline-forming foods is crucial for maintaining optimal health. When the body is too acidic, it can lead to inflammation, which is linked to various chronic diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. An acidic environment can also weaken the immune system, making the body more susceptible to infections. To help shift your diet towards more alkaline-forming foods, focus on increasing your intake of vegetables, fruits, and plant-based proteins like lentils and chickpeas. Leafy greens, in particular, are highly alkaline and can help neutralize excess acidity. Hydration also plays a significant role in managing the body's pH levels. Drinking plenty of water throughout the day can help flush out excess acids and keep your body balanced. It's not about eliminating acid-forming foods entirely, but rather about finding a healthy balance. Even though foods like meat, cheese, and certain grains have acid-forming properties, they can still be part of a well-rounded diet when consumed in moderation. The key is making sure that the majority of your meals come from alkaline-forming foods to support overall health.
Every meal you make, that's what you're looking at. Where's my fibre? Where's the protein? Because if you don't have enough protein, it's difficult to go the distance. And your fats. So someone with cancer, What would be the best breakfast for them?
No sugar.
Almost the same.
Dark green.
A little bit different. We want to get those carbohydrates right down. So with the cancer, we usually advocate 6 weeks no fruit. So what would be their breakfast if there's going to be no fruit?
Berries.
No fruit.
No fruit. Yeah, that's good.
No fruit. We want to get the glucose levels down even lower.
Greens. Green.
Pardon?
Also lentils or beans or
Yeah. What would we do for the raw?
certain vegetables.
There's a group of classified as fruit, but almost not classified as fruit because they're the savoury fruits. So we've got tomato, cucumber, avocado, pumpkin, zucchini, eggplant. Yep. So what would be the raw? Avocado,
Cucumber.
cucumber,
Celery.
celery, yeah. Again, we've got to make it so that they like it. And they can have a little grain, but not a lot of grain. So maybe just half a cup of some of the grains we just looked at, yeah? Maybe rice. You've gone quiet.
Yeah, but I like some colors to that. It's green. Like tomato.
So will we put buckwheat? And or rice? And we can have some green. What would be some green?
Broccoli.
Yeah, or you could have some steamed vegetables maybe. Steamed veg, we'll just say steamed veg. Again, it depends on the lady of the house that's doing the cooking. Okay, we've got our fibre. Got a little bit of protein in here, not a lot. Protein?
Lentils.
Yeah, we'll do some legumes, yeah. Now this is what I advocate or suggest, that when someone is on the no fruit for 6 weeks, variety is very important so they don't get sick of it. So I suggest Monday lentils, Tuesday cannelloni bean, Wednesday black-eyed bean day, Thursday chickpea day. Can you see the variety there? Friday tofu. Yeah?
What about carrots? May they eat carrots because they are a bit sweet?
As long as they're not eating a whole plate of carrots. Yeah.
But the rice is still okay when you want to bring down the carbohydrates?
As long as it's not much. You wouldn't have 2 cups of rice, you wouldn't even have a cup of rice.
When planning meals, it's important to focus on getting a variety of nutrients. Include plenty of vegetables, especially dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, which are packed with vitamins and antioxidants. For protein, legumes like lentils, chickpeas and black beans are great choices. They're versatile and can be added to salads or soups for extra flavour and nutrition. Lean proteins such as chicken or fish also provide essential amino acids without too much fat. Don't forget about healthy fats. Adding sources like olive oil, nuts and seeds can enhance your meals and help keep your energy levels up. Staying hydrated is key too. Encourage drinking water throughout the day, and herbal teas can be a nice addition for variety. By balancing these elements, you can create satisfying meals that support overall health and well-being.
What would be a really good breakfast for a diabetic? So what does a diabetic have to reduce down?
Sugar.
The sugars, that's right. They have to reduce them right down. It doesn't mean they can't have sugars. It means that they need to greatly reduce it. So any suggestions on a good way to start a diabetic's breakfast? And there's no right or wrong answers here, okay? Yeah? Lentils. Lentils is a good one. So we might put lentils here. What we aim for is half cooked, half raw. And the reason why we like half cooked, half raw, because raw will deliver what cooked won't, and cooked will deliver what raw won't. But if someone's got an irritated lining of the gut, then maybe not raw. So you can see how you would adjust your menus according to the person and according to what their problem was. But this person does not have any gut problems. Their problem is diabetes.
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit, yeah, yeah. So grapefruit.
It's a breakfast you have. Buckwheat.
Buckwheat, yeah. What I always do with guests, because before they go home, I make out a program for them. And depending on their problem, I'll do what we're doing now. Now, if they screw up their nose at grapefruit and say, I don't like grapefruit, well, we have to do a bit of adjustment there. So what I'll often say, would you prefer to have a very savoury breakfast like avocado, tomato, cucumber? And if they go, no, I don't want that for breakfast. But some would like it. So I say, what would you like? If I make suggestions and I don't get any pluses, so I say, well, what would you like? And they might say, well, I would like to start with some fruit. So what's another fruit a diabetic could have?
Granny Smith apple.
Granny Smith apple, yeah?
Tomato.
Yeah. Or we could just say the green apple. Yeah, it could be that.
Cherries is also.
Pardon?
Cherries.
Cherries, yeah. Cherries, they're nice, low glycemic.
When it comes to foods that should be avoided by a diabetic person, it's important to focus on those that can cause blood sugar spikes. Foods like sugary snacks, white bread and pastries should be limited because they can lead to sudden sugar highs. Drinks like soda and sugary juices are also a no-go as they are loaded with sugar and offer little nutritional value. It's also smart to keep an eye on portion sizes of high-carb foods like pasta and rice. Instead, try whole grains and fibre-rich foods to keep blood sugar more stable. Thank you for watching. I hope this discussion on deadly foods to avoid has opened your eyes to some hidden dangers in our diets. Remember, making informed choices is key to protecting your health and well-being. If you found this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights on nutrition and wellness. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave any questions or comments below. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of yourself. See you next time.